So hey everybody, it's TR, and I thought it's about time I did an update. Here we are, middle of May. So it's been a couple months since I've done one. I'm here at my old house in Idaho, as a matter of fact, mooch docking, and have been for just a week now today. What brought me to Idaho was a close, dear friend of mine who bought my house in 2013. Has been a roommate of mine in the past. We were college pals, and I've known for probably 30 years almost. Has cancer. And so I came up here to help out for a couple weeks, kind of get the place ready for spring, fix what needs to be fixing, just kind of be a gardener, handyman. So I've been working on the sprinkler system. I figured who better to work on the sprinkler system than the person who installed it. And don't hurt yourself, pat yourself on the back, but it's 14 years old and holding up really, really good. Basically all I've really had to do was replace a couple of heads and then lift some sprinklers, because over time, if you don't know this, your lawn tends to get thicker and thicker and thicker, and so that buries those sprinklers deeper and deeper, and especially like spray sprinklers. They don't like to work really well if they're buried too deep, and so I've just been lifting a lot of those sprinklers up and just getting this sprinkler system kind of set up and going good for spring. And doing some other handyman things around here, so it's been interesting and fun. It's been nice to be back in sticks and bricks and having some of the household chores to do associated with that. But I figure about 2 weeks of that and I'll be ready to be back on the road. That I'll be here till probably just after Memorial Day. And then I'm headed just a little bit south of here. I did a camera system many years ago for a guy who has a lumber yard. I stopped to just say hi the other day, and we were chatting, and he had mentioned, you know, that I was welcome to stay there anytime I want. One thing led to another, and he offered up one of his shops, and I said, you know what, I've been wanting to change the roof off, replace the roof. I have had a small leak back there in the past, and so some of the sheathing is blistered, so I know there's some water damage in there. I want to get in there and fix that. And I really need to do that before I try to do any solar upgrades, which is another project that I have going here in the next couple, 3 weeks, is that I'm going to get about 1,200 watts of solar and replace the really old and tired solar system I have. I think it's only maybe 200 watts. Frankly, it doesn't even provide enough power to meet the demand of the inverter. The inverter itself draws, with no load on it whatsoever, draws about 3 amps. And, well, on a good sunny day, I might see 5 amps. That's really not much when your base load's about 20 amps anyway. So that's another project that I've had scheduled and been thinking about for quite a while, and I'm getting ready to go order those panels, well, sometime today probably, so they arrive at about the right time when I need them. Once I leave here, I'll head over to Craters of the Moon. I'll probably spend 4 or 5 days over at Craters of the Moon, and that should put me there right around peak flowering, which is something I've always enjoyed, and I'm looking forward to seeing again. It's been a couple years since I made it for peak flowering. I was here last year, but it was a little past peak, so I'm going to get there a couple weeks earlier than I did last year and see if I do a little better on timing of the peak flowering at Craters. So look forward to an episode from the Craters of the Moon here in the near future as well. Once I leave Craters, depending upon the time, my next hard, firm reservation is at the Riverside Campground, and that starts the second week of June, and I'll be there for a week. And then from Riverside Campground, I'm moving up to Henry's Lake State Park, which is only maybe 30 miles north of the Riverside Campground. This is all up in the Island Park area of Idaho. I love that country up there. Many years ago when I was in high school, I built cabins up there for a fellow, helped build cabins, I should say. And so it'll be fun to get back up there. This will be my third summer to spend the week right around the 4th of July there. Expecting friends from Pocatello to come up for a visit, so that should be fun. And we'll get over to the park and do some exploring up there. It's a really cool place, and in fact I do have a video from when a friend of mine came from New York last year to visit, so you might want to check that out. That should put me into around the 5th or 6th of July, something like that. I don't have my schedule in front of me, but I know that's approximate dates, and then from there I'll be headed up into Montana. A couple, 3 different campgrounds I'll be staying up there, going up to Helena to visit a friend of mine in Helena. And then plan on being back into Idaho around, I think it's late the 3rd week of July, somewhere around the 21st. I'll be joining up with some friends, lifelong friend, junior high, high school, ever since, whose family has a camp out over at Heisey Hot Springs. I was there last year as well, and so I'm looking forward to getting back over there. I'll be at the South Fork of the Snake River, and that'll give me a chance to get out there and do some fishing. Fishing's definitely big on the hit list for this summer as well. I'm going to be staying at a couple places where there's some pretty good fishing, so I'll plan on doing that. That's a kestrel you could hear. After I leave Idaho Falls, I'll be picking up a friend of mine in Bellevue, Idaho, and we're headed over into Oregon for a couple of weeks, 2 weeks and a half, or maybe 3 weeks. And we may head up to like St. Helens, and I know we're going to be in Bend, and we've got plans to be at Crater Lake. And so those are some areas I haven't been to since, gosh, I was maybe 20 or 21. So it'll be fun to get back over there and check some of those places out. And then really, after that, I really have no plans. I have a half a thought that I might head a little bit further east and head out towards Arkansas to visit with my dad for a month or so. That's still kind of up in the air, and might also try to get over and see Dave Matthews at the Gorge over Labor Day weekend. So those plans haven't firmed up completely yet, but hopefully they will here sometime in the next couple of weeks. That's the beauty of this life. You kind of just go where you go, and you have certain plans to be certain times in certain places, but then you just kind of drag your feet here and there. By the way, it's always a good idea to add a day into your schedule, so if something comes up, you're not completely freaked out because you can't get to your campsite and your reservation's going to go away and those sorts of things. So that's about it. You caught me at my scruffy best. I haven't shaved for a week. And I'm in nasty, dirty clothes because I've been working on sprinkler system and doing some maintenance on the RV. That's why all the bays are open and I got my tools out. And just generally kind of kicking back and catching up on some things that I've been putting off for a while. If you like what you saw, be sure and give me that thumbs up. If you have questions or comments, make them below. I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Well, until we get together again, that'll have to do it. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Peace.